Hello, Marion here. Just want to read you another story from my book, Caught Between Two Worlds. I'm a naturally gifted psychic medium, and I've written my book. It's my memoir, all about how I discovered my gift. I've done over 5,000 readings now. In this book, I write about my story, and I also write about 30 readings that I've done, complete with names and everything. And I'd like to share this reading with you. Okay, you ready? Okay, so this story is called Sophie's Secret Lover's Surprise. I first started advertising, it's dedicated to Sophie and Peter. I first started advertising my psychic services way back in 1997, still as a hobby. When someone phoned me for an appointment, I only gave them a time, a date, and my address to come and see me. Sophie came to see me one Saturday in 1998. For the first 45 or 50 minutes, I got absolutely nothing. I refused to ask my clients any questions. But given that nothing was coming through, I told Sophie that I obviously wasn't able to do it and apologised for taking her time that morning and that maybe we should call an end to the reading. She said it was fine and intimated that she wanted to keep going. So we chatted about meaningless stuff. She had a matching necklace, earrings, shoes, and a handbag. They were all hand-painted. I loved them. I thought they were really gorgeous. That was the extent of the conversation we'd had. I was so very uncomfortable and embarrassed. The awkwardness between us was tangible. In my head, I was swearing that I would never do another reading as long as I lived. Clearly, I couldn't do it. I really didn't know how to ask Sophie to leave as she was in my house, and I was feeling quite awkward about it for both of us. Then, out of nowhere, in my mind's eye, I saw a man aged approximately 32. He smiled at me, suddenly with an overwhelming feeling of love. I knew we had a connection for Sophie. She saw my face change as I strained to make contact with her guest. She said, "Marion, you've got something. Whatever it is, tell me." I put my hand up to quieten her and asked her guest to introduce himself to me. A gorgeous man with dark curly hair, dark eyebrows, and eyelashes with the most gorgeous dark brown come-to-bed eyes I've ever seen. He introduced himself to me as Peter. I silently hoped he was there for me. Then I realised that would be fruitless, considering he was dead. I asked Peter if he knew Sophie. Peter said, "Yes, I know Sophie." So I asked, "How do you know Sophie? And do you have a message for her?" Peter replied, "I have been following Sophie around until she found someone like you who could give her a message for me." "Okay, what is your message?" I said to Peter. "I'll tell her. Tell Sophie I love her, I always have, and I always will." "Peter, that's a wonderful message. However, you need to give me more than that. Something more personal, please." Sophie interjected here and said, "What's happening, Marion? You have to tell me, even if it's bad." I continued to listen to Peter. My old pa told me that I would be learning from this lesson. Peter said, "Ask Sophie about the night before her wedding, when she spent the night with me and married the wrong guy the next day." My jaw must have dropped in 6 inches in shock. "What?" I exclaimed out loud. "What?" screeched Sophie. Peter simply said, "Go on, ask her. You'll see. She needs to know I'm here." At this point, I needed to add that an incredible doubt had crept in. I felt that there was no way this could be real. I feared Sophie might slap me when I gave her that message, but Peter guided me to tell her his message. So I plucked up the courage. "Sophie, I have this gorgeous guy here with you who gave me his name as Peter. Peter has dark hair, dark eyelashes, and big dark brown come-to-bed eyes. He's aged approximately 32 and he's absolutely gorgeous. When I have a guest with me, as well as the client, I look at neither of them to ensure I can hear and see clarity of and have the clarity of information. I look between them when I'm relaying messages. Peter has asked me to ask you about the night before your wedding, the night you spent with him, before marrying the wrong guy the next day." All the while I was thinking to myself, what if I'm making this up? I do, after all, have a vivid imagination. What if I'm way off track? How humiliating. Yes, the feeling of intense love that Peter brought with him reassured me that it was safe for me to give Sophie his message. My next glance at Sophie confirmed that Peter was in fact here with us, both, as Sophie had tears streaming down her cheeks. She said, Marion, no one knows where I was the night before my wedding. No one. Yes, I really did marry the wrong guy the next day, and I've regretted it ever since. Sophie suddenly realised that Peter must surely have passed away in order for his spirit to communicate with us. Is he dead? Is my Peter dead? Said Sophie. I asked Peter out loud, Are you dead? No, he said. No? How does that work? I said. I'd never experienced this before. He says, No, Sophie. I was excited now. He replied, We are all energy. Love is an energy. I loved Sophie more than anyone else, and I needed her to know people who have passed away still have energy. If you really love or have loved someone so intensely during your life, you will find a way to make contact with them. Peter and I sat in silence for a while as Sophie wept for a lost love. Before long, she turned to me and smiled and said, I'm glad I stayed. Thank you. This was not what I expected from a reading, but it is the best gift you could have given me. Thank you. I sat in silent shock for the next few hours, coming to terms with all that had happened. For me, it remains a miracle to have this kind of very real contact and confirmation. I do not take it for granted. It is a privilege and it is real. The lesson in Sophie's reading. Before Facebook, email and even mobile phones, there was no real way to keep in touch to know how things were going for a client after they had had a reading. There was also never a reason to know. Peter's gift to me was a very special one. Up until Sophie's reading, I had only ever had contact with the souls and spirits of people that had passed over. Peter was in fact still alive. He loved Sophie so much and had followed her around until she came to someone like me so he could give her his important message. Peter explained to me that we are all energy, whether alive in this life or the next life. He also showed me that as psychic mediums, we cannot just ring the doorbell above the clouds and summon forward the soul of a person passed over just because the person who has come for a reading wants to make contact. This is just impossible. All the famous mediums out there like John Edwards, James Van Praagh, Alison Dubois state vehemently that this is simply not possible. Be wary of anyone who claims they can do this. It simply doesn't work this way. We all believe that any spirit, whether alive in this life or next, will come through to you if they want to, or if you need to hear a very important spiritual message. Expect the unexpected when you come for a reading. Did you know that you do not need to visit a psychic or a medium in order to make contact with a loved one that has passed over? Light some candles, put on some lovely music, and get comfy with a nanny rug and simply sit. Leave your ego outside the room and come right into your soul. Fill your heart and soul with love and peace. This is not a circus trick. This is real. Close your eyes, imagine your loved one in your mind's eye and talk to them. Simply talk, ask them questions. Try it for yourself. If they do not come through straight away, you may be visited in your dreams that night or the next as spirits feel more comfortable coming through in a way that your rational mind can deal with. You might just be pleasantly surprised. Hope you like the story. If you do, Caught Between Two Worlds is available from any bookstore to order. It's also available as an ebook and will shortly be available with Amazon Audible. Thank you.